What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another video. It's your boy Blaine, and we are going to be putting the motor together today. So if you guys saw in the last episode, Christine went ahead and painted the block. So what we're going to do is quickly unmask everything just like this. Do you guys think it looks good? I think it looks brand spanking new. Look at that. Now that it is unmasked, we're gonna go ahead and install the crankshaft. So what was wrong with the car? So the crankshaft was way too gone to save. So what we did, we went ahead and bought another crankshaft, like a remanufactured one. It came with all the bearings and stuff that you need. It's machined and stuff, so it's good to go. It's balanced and everything. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna flip the block over and install the bearings. So keep this in mind. This is gonna be like one of my first times rebuilding an engine from the ground up. So if I do something wrong or make mistakes, just bear with me. I'm still learning, and this is how you learn. You make the mistakes. So I'm gonna do the best that I can. I've done my research on everything that you need to do, all the precautions to take. So we're gonna go ahead and rebuild this engine. Let's go. Look at how good this engine looks, man. All right, so I'm just gonna take off this pin right here, and I'm gonna spin it. Spin it. Just like that. Top pin back on. All right, guys. So we are ready to go grab the crankshaft. Oh, first of all, what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna remove the old bearings that's in here. Clean it out pretty good with some brake cleaners, because you do not want to get any oil underneath on the journals, because if you do, it's easy to spin a bearing. So I'm gonna go ahead and make sure this is really clean. Street it down with some brake cleaner. Install the bearings on here, and then we're gonna go ahead and put the crankshaft on there. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove the old bearings. All right. So now that we got the old bearings out, I'm just gonna go ahead and wipe this down right quick. Make sure it's really clean. You do not want any oil under these bearings here. So now I'm just gonna shoot it down with some brake clean. So I have the bearings here. Now when you install the bearings on the block, you can see that there's a hole in this bearing, and you wanna make sure that there's a groove in your bearing as well, because that side is gonna go on the block side. Now you're gonna put these bearings into your journals. 1, 2, 3, 4. The middle one is gonna be a thrust bearing, which is gonna be a different bearing, which I'll show you guys in just a second. The way that you install this is, you see on the actual journal, there's gonna be a little notch right there. If you look on the bearing, it also has a notch right here. You're gonna wanna line up the oil hole with this oil hole right here. And you're pretty much just gonna line up the notch like that and press it down. You wanna make sure that the oil hole lines up properly so that way you don't run into any issues. And that is how you install your bearings. You don't put any oil underneath here. You will be putting some assembly lube on top of here before you put the actual crankshaft in the block. So now for your center thrust bearing, this is what your thrust bearing looks like. If you guys can see, it has these edges right here. This is so that it can keep the crankshaft in place. So before we go ahead and install the crankshaft, I'm just gonna shoot it down with a little bit of brake cleaner, wipe it down just to make sure there's no shavings and stuff left over from when it was machined. And then we'll go ahead and put some assembly lube on the journals, or on the bearings I should say, and then go ahead and install it. So let's go ahead and shoot it down. Before you go ahead and place your crankshaft down on the bearings, you want to make sure that you use some engine assembly lube. I'm using the Permatex red one, but you can use any type of engine assembly lube. I believe they have Lucas and all this other brands, but as long as you put some lube on there, you should be good. Now I'm just gonna rub it. You don't really have to do this step, because as you put the crank down, it should spread out on its own, but I do it as a precaution. Now we should be able to put the crank in. Woo, that looks so good. So now that the crank is in, we're gonna go get the cradle and put the bearings on the journals of the cradle. I'm gonna go ahead and remove the old bearings. So now we're gonna wipe down the journals. So we're gonna shoot it down with some brake clean, brake parts cleaner. It's the same thing for the other bearings. Just make sure you put the notch side on the side of the cradle that has a notch. So we got the thrust bearing in there. Now we're gonna go ahead and add some assembly lube to the bearings. We're gonna go ahead and just place it down to the block. Stick my bolts in. Just like that. And then from here you can just take a rubber mallet. Get it in there nice and snug. And then I'm gonna go ahead and hand tighten all these bolts before I torque them down. Now there's a torque sequence, but I'm not gonna follow the torque sequence right now. I'm just hand tightening them. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten down the main crankshaft bolts. So I'm gonna go ahead and torque it down to 60 foot-pounds, but I'm doing it in 3 rounds. So I'm gonna do 20, 40, 60. Starting off with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, next is 40. All right, last off, we're gonna go up to 60 foot-pounds. So just for comparison, let me show you what the old crank looked like. Look at how bad the journal is. This thing is so rough and it has all these grooves in it. See all these grooves? Take a look at the new crank. Look at how nice and machined micro polish this new crank is. We are putting together the bottom half of the engine. So we're putting together the block. Now, we got the crankshaft in there. This thing spins so smoothly. So I'm gonna rock it back and forth, get the oil to move around and coat the bearing well. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and install the pistons. Christine went ahead and put the connecting rods and the pistons together in the house. So these are the new pistons right here. We got 4 of them. New pistons, new rings, and then we're using the same connecting rods. We're gonna go ahead and put this upside down. I got the spring compressor or the ring compressor compressing the rings on the piston. So if you look closely, there's a little dot. That's gonna be facing the front of your engine. And I also put some tape on the bottom thread so that way it doesn't scrape any of the cylinder walls. There you go, it slides right in. Your 2 and your 3 move in sync and your 1 and your 4 move in sync. So you do the 2 here and you do 1 and 4 after, or vice versa, whatever position your crankshaft is in. Straight inside, just like that. Now from here, you wanna push your piston all the way down. Oh, forgot to put lube on it, frick. All right guys, I had to take it out because I forgot to put lube on it. The engine upside down now. Alright, so now I'm gonna pull off this tape here. I'm gonna install the caps now. So same idea, except for this one, it doesn't have the oil feed here, so it doesn't matter if the hole isn't lined up or not because there's no hole to line it up with. You slide it on. Again, hand tighten it and we'll torque it down to spec. Forgot to put lube again, frick, lubed up. So I'm gonna torque this down now. You're gonna wanna do it in 2 steps, 20 and then 40. All right, 20. Now I'm gonna bring up my torque wrench to 40. All right guys, so that's how you put in the pistons. Now I'm gonna go ahead and do the other 2 cylinders and I'll check back in with you guys. So we got the pistons in. If you guys can see, it's at top dead center right now, the first piston. So what we're gonna actually do right now is put the head gasket on. We're gonna go ahead and acetone this. We already scraped it, got it all flat. So I'm just hand tightening all of the head studs into the block. I should say head bolts. Tightening all the head bolts into the block. The sequence is pretty much the same as when you tighten down the cradle for the crankshaft. It's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You're gonna wanna do it in 3 steps. So you're gonna go about 15 foot-pounds and then up to like, I think it's 40 or 35 and then up to 50. So you wanna gradually tighten this down because you want everything to go on evenly. Take your time and do things right the first time. So I'm installing the new timing chain sprockets and chain kit. Alright guys, so you're gonna line up your link. See that little dot right there? One of the blue discolored link needs to line up with that one. And the other is gonna line up to your other dot right there on your sprocket. And then you tension it down like that. Should be good. So now we're gonna install the guides and the tensioners to take the slack out. No! Broke a bolt. Yes. Broke a bolt, guys, but luckily it was sticking out of the block so I could take it out. Man. Alright guys, so I'm going to tighten down the idler sprocket right now. I just put on the camshafts and I got it timed correctly. So pretty much all you gotta do is there's gonna be a mark on your idler sprocket. You're gonna put a discolored chain link there. There's gonna be another notch right here on this sprocket here. You match that up with the miscolored link. You match it with this color link over here with that notch right there. You tighten it down a little bit. You spin your camshaft until the little pin enters the sprocket here. You pretty much want your camshaft's lobes to be facing outward, opposite ends of each other. And that's how you time it correctly. Now I'm gonna tighten this down to 40 foot-pounds. It shouldn't be a problem, but the block is, or the head is aluminum, so you don't wanna over torque it or else you could strip the threads right out of the head and that'll be a big problem. So this is probably the most nerve-wracking one that I'm gonna have to do right here. 40 foot-pounds isn't too much, but still, it could go very wrong. So I'm just taking it very slowly. No way. Oh, I think it's stripped out. 40 foot-pounds, here we come. Here is the new front cover with the oil pump assembly. So Christine's gonna go put the water pump on there, thermostat, water neck, and all that. Just assemble this whole thing so we can go ahead and slap it on the engine. While she does that, everything is put together on the engine. We will be fixing the threads on this, but for now we're able to torque it down to 40 foot-pounds. So we do have a missing stud here. It's actually broken off on the inside. I'm gonna try and remove that in a little bit, but everything needs to be cleaned off so the manifold gaskets can go on nicely and get a good seal. But other than that, the head is on the block, the head gasket is on there. Everything is torqued to spec. The timing is correct, at least on the block and the head. I will put on the oil filter adapter or whatever it's called. So yeah, the motor is looking good. Now we just have to do some small minor touches and then we can throw on all the accessories like the compressor, power steering pump, and all that. So now we got the RTV all laid out. We're gonna go ahead and throw the oil pan on there. We're almost done, guys. We just have to put the manifolds on, throw the flywheel and clutch on, and then the transmission, and then we should be able to just throw it into the car. So I'm excited. Now let's put this oil pan on. I'm gonna put the exhaust manifold on right now. The manifold looks ugly and rusty. So if you want to be able to take apart your manifold or take off the manifold without actually taking the whole intake manifold apart, get yourself a really long needle nose plier. That way you can get in between the manifold here, and you should be good. I was able to take off this whole manifold with just removing like 3 hoses and unbolting all the bolts, and the whole manifold came out as one piece. So another good tool to have is going to be a universal joint just like this, so that way you can get down into the manifold. The engine is now ready to come off the engine stand.
So that's gonna be it for today's video. The engine is rebuilt, so all we have to do is drop it in the car and it should be good to go. So we're so excited for it. That's gonna be the next video, so make sure you guys stay tuned, subscribe if you guys haven't already, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out and stay good.